The Pi Network is a mobile app that has been growing in popularity, and if you never heard about this application before, the Pi Network is pretty much a mobile app where you can mine cryptocurrency just by using your phone. This application is completely free, and it only takes about a second today to be able to mine Pi coins from your phone. You can think about this like a more accessible version of Bitcoin, because you don't have to buy expensive mining gears and all you really need is to use your phone and download the app from the App Store. If you want to sign up, make sure to use the invitation code Kalikali. Setting up your account can take less than a minute. And you also only spend about a second and a mining Pi, and if you really think about it, it's pretty much an obvious choice. So join the Pi Network. In this video, I want to ask a really important question, which is, how does a Pi network make money? Although many people speculate on the value of a Pi coins, we still don't have a definitive answer as of right now. And the Pi users on the network are only going to be able to receive their coins in 2022, therefore Pi coins aren't going to have any sort of value before that. This is good news and bad news for a lot of people, because it means that we're going to have to wait a long time before the coins are officially released, but it also means that we have a lot more time to be able to mine Pi coins. One thing you have to remember is that we can't mine any more coins, and once the coins are officially released, this means that unlike Dogecoin that was supplied, Pi coins is going to be capped. So if you remember anything from your economic class, this means that if demand goes up, the price of Pi coins will also go up. You can think about this concept just like getting your hands on a stock before the company goes IPO. For example, it's like getting your hands on Apple stocks before the company released their stocks to the public or make it available for people like us to purchase them from a consumer side. I think this is pretty cool because the network wants about a marketplace and also allow developers to create their own apps on the blockchain. This pretty much creates a decentralized economy on the internet that's not controlled by anybody. It also allows developers or freedom to use a blockchain and also Pi coins for any sort of purposes, including building a stock market app or casino and anything you can really think of. I'm truly excited by the future, or the Pi Network, and I think it's run by a pretty smart and intelligent people. The company behind the Pi Network is actually called the Pi Community Company. In my last video, we were able to find out a lot about this company by looking at lawsuits filed by one of its former employees. Basically, one of the former founders of the Pi Network sued the company for wrongful termination. If you want to know the whole story, and make sure to check on my last video, but basically he felt like he was unfairly treated while he was at the company, regardless of whether or not this is true. The document also revealed a lot about the financials of the company. We were able to see that the Pi Network raised a lot of money through something called a safe agreement. In the early days of the project, safe agreements stand for simple agreement for future equity. It was first created by a team at the White Company there, and it has been a pretty popular method for investing at the earlier stages of a company. In this situation, investors gave the Pi over $800,000 for the opportunity to convert that money into equity. In the later stages of this project, the reason they do this is because safe agreements reward these investors for taking on the risk of investing in earlier stage projects. They can convert that money into equity at a discounted price compared to everyone else. For example, they might be able to buy shares of the Pi number, get 70 cents when everyone else is buying shares, the Pi Network at $1. When we take a look at the official complaint filed by Vince MC Phillip in the Supreme Court of California, Santa Clara, we can see that the Pi Network was already valued at around $20 million as early as February of 2020. During this time, the network only had about 3.5 million members. More recently, the network now has over 25 million members as of August of 2021. This means that since then, the Pi network has grown about 6 times what it was back then. In this case, evaluation was determined by the number of members. This also means that the Pi network should now be worth around $80 million, but all we can say for sure as of right now is that they raised about $800,000 through safe agreements. This has been one of the best ways the pandemic raised money at its earlier stages in 2020. I also wouldn't be surprised that the company is issuing debt or equity. I think they're big enough now to issue debt or equity at a large scale. This would also reward allowed investors who decided to take on safe agreements with the company earlier on to some things. The Pi Network made a lot of money through issuing safe agreements, issuing equity, and also issuing debt. However, this is not all the ways that the Pi Network has been able to generate money. We also can't forget that the founders of the Pi Network also contributed a lot of money to this project earlier on. We know that about 100 million shares were issued and authorized before the lawsuit filed by Vince MC Phillip. We also see there an additional 1.5 billion shares were authorized during the lawsuit itself. When we take the issue price on the document, we can estimate that the founders here contributed about $55,000. To the company themselves, don't forget that Vince decided not to participate in this issuance. This basically means that he never got his 500 million shares. His ownership in the company likely dropped at 3%, and Dr. Callis and Dr. Thing are probably now the major stakeholders of the PIE network. This was another way that the Pi network was able to stay alive in its earlier days. Companies need money, and sometimes the founders had to dig into their own personal pockets to keep the companies alive. From the document we can see that the Pi network had a lot of cash issues back in those days. For example, Christina Verjeet, former Sony executive who now works for the Pioneer Work, wasn't able to get paid for at least a year. It looks like at the time she worked as a contractor for the project, and her invoice wasn't paid for at least a year. Companies and businesses need cash to operate, and running out of cash is the only way that a company would ever go under. I'm glad the Pi number goes able to get over this hurdle and survive as long as it did. In addition to this, they also opened up additional revenue streams like opening up ads on their platform. The Pi numbers started to use ads on their platform starting May of 2020. This might have been a way to resolve their cash issues at the time. However, this might also be really lucrative for the company. Let's say they now earns about $1 for every 1,000 impressions from the document filed by Ben. So we can see that the Pi network was doing about 3 million daily active users. This would mean that the network would earn about $3,000 each day, or about $90,000 each month. This number can only grow bigger and bigger as the number increases in size every single day. Just in the US alone, we can see that the network went from about 18,000 users back in September 2020
about 747,000 users in February. This would roughly translate to about $22,000 just in February. But let's think about how much the network makes in total just from ads right now. Since the Pi network is about 4 times what it was back in February of 2020, the network is likely doing about $360,000 every single month. This is also likely a very conservative estimate too, because the network is likely doing much more than just $1 every 1,000 impressions. More realistically, this company could potentially generate about $1.2 million
every single month. This might seem like a lot of money, but don't forget that the Pi network has a whole team dedicated to this project. We can see that there's a total of 8 members on the core team. In addition to this, they also had to pay for contractors, and they also had to maintain the servers. Regardless, the company is going to be able to make a good amount of money to sustain itself by using ads. But the real money maker of this project really comes into play when the Pi coins are officially released. The developers of this project get around 25% of the total Pi supply, and did this calculation in another video, but it basically figures out a reasonable supply for the Pi coins. In total there should be around 77 billion coins. A sense of developers here get around 25%. This would mean that they would take home about 15 billion coins, and the price of a Pi coin doesn't run $1.58. They would have a total of $24 billion with the Pi coins. This would make the founding members instant billionaires. The average person here would also benefit a lot, since they would have around $1,220 with the coins. The Pine Rock raised a lot of money earlier on through safe agreements, and also funding the project by themselves. This roughly amounted to around $880,000 in May of 2020. They opened up ads on the platform, and this helped him raise a lot of money, and today it's estimated to be around $360,000 every single month. But the real money maker of this project is when the coins are finally released. This would make the founders of this project instant billionaires, and it would also generate a lot of wealth for people who participated in the network. Those who have 1,000 coins would make around $1,500. Those with 10,000 coins would make around $15,000, and those with 10,000 coins would make around $158,000. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more updates on our content and also other crypto content. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and had a great day. Like always, I'll see you guys next time with more Pi content and other cryptocurrencies updates.